What's up YouTube? This is Rambo Scoop 333 and I've decided that I want to start doing videos on a new game. So I want to go ahead and introduce you to the game and give you a little review of what comes in the base box. This game does have the ability to play tournaments, and not only can you play it in real life, you can also play it online. So the name of the game is Krosmaster Arena. And this here is what the base box looks like. Every time you buy something for the game, they give you a code that you can use online so that you can get everything that you bought on the online version. And everything that comes in this base box here, you get to use online for free, because when you make an account online, they want you to go ahead and start playing. So you can play without owning anything. So let's start with the board. They give you a double-sided board. The first side is called Pit Arena. The second side here is called the Elemental. Now, I will explain the board in a second. First, I wanted to explain the cards and miniatures. So each miniature has a card that's associated with it. So the first one here that we have is Oscar Cause. Now, the little number right up here in the corner, that is the level of the miniature. We'll get back at that more later. The lightning bolt is their initiative. Then you have MP, their movement points, HP, their health, AP, their action points. Their spells are these little boxes here. Some miniatures have a little bit of flavor text. And then down at the bottom you have powers. And we will explain all that in a little bit. First, what I wanted to explain on these is we're going to get with movement points. So let me grab his miniature. This is Oscar here, and as you see in his card, you can see that it uses his face, and then when you turn the card on the back, it has some nice artwork depicting the actual guy themselves. Now, the board doesn't get set up just the way you see it here. There's actually a little bit more to it. You get little trees that are easy to slide together. It's just two pieces of cardboard slid together, and they go on the tree stumps. The trees you cannot move through, and they block line of sight. You also get bushes, which go on those little squares there. They also cannot be moved through, but they don't block line of sight. And then lastly, they give you little crates. These are little 5 pieces that kind of join together like a little puzzle. They show you on the inside what connects where. These can be a little complicated put together, but you get the hang of it. And there's a little icon for where they go as well. Now, they're the only piece of terrain that you can move through. And they're beneficial to be on, because when you get on top of them, if you have a range attack, you can attack 1 square further than what you normally could. So, the last thing that goes on the board itself are these little coins. They're very important to the game. See those little coin spots? However many coin spots are on that tile is how many you go there. And once you pick them up, they go to your collection to buy rewards. I'll explain rewards a little bit later. So, lastly, what I need to explain about the board itself as far as setup goes is you see these little ones that have like leaves? Those are your spawning points. So you have the first 2 rows. You can spawn in those 2 rows anywhere that there is a spawning point. And you and your opponent set up your miniatures at the same time. Now the nice thing about these boards is they can be done in either orientation. You can either do them where this side is facing you, or you can turn it on the side and have the pit arena be on the side and be spawning along these two. In addition to doing 1v1 play, it also has rules to do 2v2 teams or for 4-person free-for-all. So, to explain movement, you have your miniature. You can move forward and side to side. Each of these little squares, called a cell, for each one you move is 1 point of movement. There is no diagonals in this game. Everything is done in forward and side to side, including counting your range for your range attacks. So now, let's finish explaining the cards. You have the name of the spell, what effects it does, like this one here does steal health. Steal health, whenever you deal damage with it, you heal that much. The little number inside the star is how many action points it's going to take to do that spell. And then the number in the big circle is how much damage it does. The color of the circle is the element that attack does. Blue is water, the green is earth, there's a purple one, which I have another card here that shows. That purple one there means that it does wind damage. Now, let's see if I have someone. Yes, I do. She has the last two here. That orange color is fire damage, and the pink one with what looks like a heart on the inside means that it heals. Next, you see how it has the little fist there? That means that you have to be directly beside the person to attack them. His other attack, though, has the little green target icon. That means it's a ranged attack, and the 2 through 3 is the range. With it having a 2, that means it has a minimum range of it has to be 2 cells away, but it can be no more than 3. Now the benefit of this one being green, if he's standing on top of the crate, he can actually make that a 2 through 4. So, now we're going to show you some of the other ones. If the attack type is in red, that means the range can never be increased. Also, if it has the little arrow, that means it has to be done in a straight line. You can't go at an angle for those sort of attacks. And then lastly, there's one more type of attack. Here you see an example of the straight line that has to be, like, can actually have its range increase, but then you also have these with an X. If it has an X there in red, that means you don't need line of sight to use that ability. So now, that's enough on explaining the base part of the cards. Let's explain these powers down here. He has dodge and lock. Now these powers can be gained in more ways than just having it printed base on your card. With the exception of the very first turn of the game, the person who goes first, you have to do what's called a tension roll. This is to speed up the game. And in this tension roll, you roll the dice. The dice have on them little explosion, the magnet, the shield, the boot, and then, let me reorganize this. 2 results that let you change the die roll. The one that looks like a little rune there, you get to change to any result. The one that's a boot explosion, you get to change to either the boot or the explosion. So, now to explain what each of these are. The boot is dodge. Sometimes you have to make a roll called a dodge roll. If you have the dodge skill, either printed onto your card or provided to you from the tension roll, because after you roll tension, you get to assign these dice to your characters to give them that benefit for the turn. So, dodge lets you roll your 2 dice for your dodge checks. Shield does the same for armor. You roll armor anytime you're on the receiving end of an attack. Lock. When someone tries to move away from you, that's when they make their dodge check. Well, the lock skill is to use to prevent that. And you roll 2 dice for trying to keep them in place. And then finally the critical hit. Whenever you make an offensive attack, try to cast a heal spell, you roll the dice, and critical hit lets you roll 2 dice. So, criticals let you do more damage. So anytime you roll this, you're going to do more damage. Or in the case of healing, you're going to heal more. Whenever you're trying to dodge, you have to roll a boot. Whenever you're rolling for every armor die, every result ends on the armor, you're going to prevent damage. And then, whenever you're trying to lock someone in place, you have to roll the magnet. So, the base kit also gives you little damage tokens for marking the damage that people have received in the 1, 2, and 5 variety. Unfortunately, I just dropped it. And y'all got to see my boot that I'm still in from the broken leg. They give you 50 of the coins. Another benefit of the tension roll is if you don't want to use the results, you can exchange them for coins. If you're only going to want to exchange 1 die, you get 1 coin, but if you want to exchange both, you get 3 coins. And if you roll doubles, tension happens. So now I'll explain the actual purpose of the game. These are GG tokens. Okay? In a 1v1 game, each person has 6, and there's 1 in the wild. The goal is to make your opponent have none. If you actually roll doubles on the tension roll, both players lose 1. And this is how I'm saying it speeds the game up. So, the other way you get these is by killing your opponent's ones. And this comes back to where I told you about the level. Whatever level a piece is, that's how many GG tokens you're going to steal from your opponent. Now where I said there was 1 in the wild, that's the first one you take. So you take that one before you take them from your opponent. So now, the next thing that comes in the kit is little tokens like this. These are summon tokens, little mobs. There are 2 characters that come in the base kit to summon. This one here is a tofu. And it's got stats just like a regular guy. He has a spell that's his attack, has his abilities. Other side shows what he looks like. It comes with 3 of them because this girl right here, Queen of Tofus, summons them. The other one it comes with is a gobble. Looks like a little sheep. Also has abilities as well. And he summons the gobble. And he is, I believe, King of the Gobbles? Yeah, King of the Gobbles. Lastly, the last type of token that you have that is used in the base game are these little water bombs. Badaboom here is the one who uses them. They have HP like a regular miniature would and a spell, but they don't actually do their spell. What happens is when they lose all their HP, they do their explosion effect. Now, he also has an ability that's called Bomb, and what happens with that is at the start of his turn, he blows up all the bombs that he has out on the board, and he only gets to use 2 at a time. So the moment they explode, they go back to him so he can place them that turn. The last thing you have is just like the HP tokens. There's little tokens that modify your AP and your MP, and they have a plus and minus side. So, you're probably wondering, what are the coins used for? Well, the little coins, see there's a little icon, these right here. I didn't explain these to you, but on the map, these are your spots where you use the coins. You can either use them and spend 10 to buy GGs from your opponent, or you can buy rewards. Now these rewards vary in cost. I just dropped one. But they vary from 3 to 6 to 12. I do not see what happened to the one I dropped, so I will look for it later. So, and you have different types. You have equipment, which have this sword background. You have boost, which once you use them, they're gone. They either give you an immediate effect or affect the next attack you do. And then you have buffs. Buffs last until that one's turn starts again. Now, in the rule book that they give you, it explains what all the different boosts and buffs and equipment do, as well as what the different attack areas are and stuff like that. So, I'm just going to go ahead and go down and show you the different guys that come in the base set here, and then I will do another video later that'll go more in depth on each one. So you have the King of Gobbles, the Queen of Tofus, Oscar Kaz, Little Healy, Biltel, Anatomy, Badaboom, and Cassius Kaus. So, oh yes, one last thing, initiative, I forgot to explain that. The way initiative works is when you make your team, you add up your total initiative. The person who has the higher initiative goes first, and you use your guys in your turn based off initiative total. Now there's also rules for making your team, which is based off the use of the level. You can have a total of 12 levels. This right here is their race. Some will have a thing that says boss here. You can only have one boss on your team. The levels range anywhere from 1 to 6, but all the ones in the base kit are all going to be level 3. And then when you get a guy, their name could be in white like this one is, gold like this one is, and there's a small handful of them that are in black. The black ones, you can have 3 copies of that individual guy. The white ones, like Badaboom here, you can have 2 of. So I could actually have 2 Badabooms in my force. But the gold ones, you can only have 1 of that guy. So I can only have 1 King of the Gobles. And I need to find something. Now, here's Queen of the Tofus. Remember how I said she summons Tofus? That number right there in the parentheses, that's what shows you she can only summon 3. Ah, here's an example that shows different types of attacks. Those black background attacks you can use as many times as you want on your turn. But you see how he has one that's red? Red attacks can only be used once per game. Now, I'm looking for one that has blue. Ah, here we go. Biltel has one that's blue. A blue one can be used once per turn. Now, they just started making Season 2, and Season 2 introduced a new color. The new color is purple. Purple are a cross between a black and a blue. You can use them multiple times in your turn, but you can only use a purple one time per target. So, say the target's Bill Tell. You could use it once on Bill Tell. Now you can use the attack again this turn, but you can't target Bill Tell. So next time you could say target Little Healy. So, like I said, that's going to be it for now, folks. We will do a video later, probably later today, that will go in depth and we will explain each of the miniatures. We'll also do one later explaining each of the rewards. And then we'll do one later explaining the actual some actual strategy for them, like the best teams you can make from the base set. And then in case you were wondering how much of each of the terrain pieces, there are 6 bushes, 6 trees, and 4 boxes. Now there is an expansion that gives you another board and more terrain, and we will explain that at a later point in time, as well as the miniatures from the different expansions, because there's a bunch of expansions with miniatures. And then when I've finally covered all of Season 1 that I can, I'll start explaining Season 2. And the Season 2 miniatures are being done a little bit differently than the way Season 1 was. So that's it for now, YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and get this one up and recording, and hopefully later tonight be back with another video. Peace out, YouTube.